Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Avax. I do want to say that I'm not a financial advisor. You should do your own research before investing money into crypto. If you haven't seen the previous update, make sure to watch that before watching this one. It's going to be linked in the top right-hand corner of the screen. Now, let's jump straight into the TA. Taking a look at the daily chart, as always, we have the exact same old Fibonacci retracement on the chart with the swing low printed in July of 2021 and the swing high printed in February of 2021. If you don't know how to use the Fib retracement, make sure you check out my description in the video. There's going to be a link to a video where I explain how you can use the Fibonacci retracement to set up some long-term and short-term targets and how to find out if there are any support or resistance levels above you and where exactly are there. Now jumping into the chart here, let's zoom in and see what's going on. So far Avax has been doing pretty well. We're bouncing off the 55 EMA here, February 14th, February 13th. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So around a week ago, exactly where I was making the last update on Avax. The 55 EMA, obviously very good entry point, especially in an uptrend. But this potentially is where we're going to be seeing a move to the downside here. Because if the Fed has some bearish or hawkish news, the next FOMC meeting, or we have a, what do they call it, a monetary surprise, I think, is when the Fed does something, out of the blue and no one's expecting it, because usually the markets are pricing everything in. And so the next 25 basis points hike is already priced into the markets. However, if the at the FOMC meeting, the Federal Reserve decides to bump up the interest rates by another, let's say 50 basis points, well, then the markets are going to significantly drop. Plus, some of the American banks are already saying that, well, we're thinking the stock market is going to see a huge pullback or something along those lines. Basically, they want everyone turning hawkish. And obviously, if the stock markets go down, the crypto markets will suffer a pullback as well. And that's good for us because we're going to be able to buy in at cheaper prices. So now that you've been warned that that is a possibility, if that happens, you have your spare cash at the sidelines waiting to buy into that potential dip. But so far, Avax is above the 20 EMA on the daily. We're potentially going to be moving up to our next resistance level at $23.82, which is the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement. So far, we're trying to break out of this channel up pattern. As you can see, we have a channel up pattern, this little fake out above that as well. And we had a move here, broke to the upside, came back into the pattern, and now we're running into the resistance of the pattern. So potentially you could see a pullback to the support of the pattern, which is around $19. So that's where you could dollar cost average into Avax. The perfect entry was all the way down here when I was talking about Avax and I was talking about this support block entry. We talked about that back during the summer of 2021. I gave you this exact same block. So it's been on my chart for 1.5 years now, and I've been telling you that this is a perfect entry point. So we just bounced off of $10.60. From there, we haven't looked back. So obviously, we're not in a bull market like we were here. Okay, this is not going to happen in a couple of months like it did back then, but this could be a start of a potential leg up here. And maybe we're looking at some sort of an ABC here. So this was your wave 1, wave 2, and now we're looking at a wave 3 potentially taking us to $40. A wave, let's say wave 4 pullback, and then a wave 5. So potentially this might be something that we're looking at. Maybe we go a bit lower on the wave 3, but usually the wave 3 is the highest or the strongest wave. But that's a hypothetical, obviously. So you really need to be paying attention to the Bitcoin weekly chart. Now, there are bearish divergences on the daily chart for Bitcoin all over the place. So there are some indicators that are pointing out the fact that we need to see a healthy retracement. This retracement in February was definitely good, but some altcoins are very overextended and the market needs to cool off a bit, in my opinion. However, I'm not saying that having another move to the upside into March isn't possible. I think that's very possible. Perhaps we even see a $30,000 Bitcoin in March. I'm ready for that. and I'm ready for a potential pullback. So that's the beauty of the situation. You have to be ready for every possible scenario, and then you aren't emotionally affected, or you aren't affected by anything really, because you have a portfolio, you're exposed to the markets at all times, and you have some fiat on the sidelines in case there is a dip, in case there is a black swan event on the horizon there. So if you're looking for a swing trade, potentially 23.8, great area to take some profits. But if we take a look at the RSI here, let's see if we have any divergences. So far, not looking like doesn't look like we're having any bearish divergences right now. But if we continue moving up here and the RSI doesn't really break the high that we created here, then that would be a bearish divergence, because we would be actually, well, yeah, that's only if the price here, let me get that. So if the price is going to start coming up higher than this high, but the RSI is going to be doing something like this, then we're going to be having a lower high on the RSI, and we're going to be having a higher high on the price action. That would be a bearish divergence. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now on the Bitcoin chart. And Bitcoin is the most important chart if you're looking for anything crypto related. Now, for any entries off of the RSI here, the yellow support trend line, we talk about it every single video, the red support trend line and the support block down here, those are your three major areas where you want to be dollar cost averaging. So if you haven't watched the previous updates, make sure you watch them, because I don't want to be explaining the same thing every single video. And let's switch over to the Binance website. And before we continue, guys, I quickly want to talk about my Patreon. Now, if you want to get involved, there's going to be a 7-day free trial. So you can go ahead and join, and you're going to get access to all of my content since I started posting on Patreon, which was all the way back in October of 2021. So there are hundreds and hundreds of posts with low cap gems, my exclusive podcasts that I do for patrons only, my low cap gem reviews, project highlights, your technical analysis requests, exclusive videos for patrons. So there's a whole bunch of stuff there that I don't share on YouTube or Twitter, as to add more value to it. And I also share all of my buys, all of my sells. I share my portfolio in there. So if that's something that you're interested in and you really want to support the channel, then feel free to check it out. Thank you. Jumping into the weekly chart, Avax is holding the 20 EMA perfectly. This is really good. We're bouncing off the 35 EMA here. So the green EMA there is the 35 EMA. And it doesn't look like we're having any sort of momentum right now. I don't know if there are any news coming out. So this could be what we're going to be experiencing for the next couple of weeks, potentially, where we just hold the 20 MAS support gradually, and we bounce up and down until we sort of get compressed between the 20 and the 35, and then we see that breakout to the upside. Maybe that's what's going to happen. That is a possibility, but we're kind of getting, choppy here. So once you get choppy, once you get compressed, usually that leads into expansion of the price action. So if we go, let's go to the daily chart here and see what's going on. So you can see that a trend line to the chart here, you can see that we're sort of getting compressed over here, and some sort of a symmetrical triangle is playing out here. So we may see a breakout relatively soon, but that doesn't mean that you want to be buying in right now. Personally, I wouldn't be buying into anything right now. I'm just waiting for a potential pullback. If we go higher, fine, I'm all right with that, and I'm ready to swing trade at higher prices once we get more overbought. But your major level here is going to be this high that we printed in August. That's also the target from the falling wedge at $28.20. So that's around where the 55 EMA is on the weekly. So maybe we get there in the next month. Jumping into the weekly RSI, let's see what's going on here. So obviously we broke out of this channel down pattern. We back tested this resistance level here. So it's looking good for now in terms of the RSI, healthy pullbacks, healthy back tests. But you had this very strong move, and I think, and every altcoin's had this strong move. So what I think is going to be happening is we're going to be liquidating all the long positions, because market makers, the exchanges, they love to do that, right? So we're going to see a pullback. All of these long positions here are going to get liquidated, and then we're going to liquidate the short positions because we're going to have another strong move to the upside. If you ask me, I think the bottom has been printed, but that doesn't mean the bull market is going to be arriving anytime soon. That doesn't mean that we can't come back to $18,000 on Bitcoin. That just means that we're not going to be going lower than $15,500. That's it. So on the weekly RSI, you can target those two support trend lines. If we take a look at the weekly volume, you can see that we're getting good candles. The January candles were pretty good as well. So confirming our break to the upside, that's confirming the breakout from the falling wedge. That confirms the breakout from the support block that we have here, or rather it was a resistance block previously, now turned into support. And that was anywhere between $16 and $13.65. This was a very good buying opportunity. We even went below that for a bit, and that was an amazing buying opportunity here. If you bought a bunch of tokens here, then you're set. If you want to stake now and sell at the peak of the next bull market, that's fine. You ask where the peak is going to be. Well, we're going to try to pinpoint that once the bull market arrives, and we're going to see what happens with the Bitcoin price and with the Fed and with how overextended everything gets. But if we throw a fib retracement right now, I think I'm gonna have to change the settings on the fib because my charts reset for some reason once I update or delete the history. Let me just do this real quick. So this is how I set up my fib. So I have the background like that. I have it in reverse. I have the labels to the right, set to log scale. I have the trend line set to, actually no, that's not supposed to be there. Use one color, use white, and for the golden ratio I use the gold color or the yellow color. 0.618 I use the dark blue color there because those are the important levels we want to be looking at. And I have the second, the 2.272, and that should be it. There we go. Oh, I didn't get the one. I got the 1.414. So we're going to be looking at potentially $741. I think that's a bit far-fetched. So I think $434 is fine. That's that's going to be 4,000%. For a high cap altcoin, I think that's fair enough. I think that's pretty good. And if $434 for Avax isn't enough for you, well then, I don't know what to tell you, because you were sitting here at the lows of $10.30. That's a pretty strong move. From where we are right now, that could be a 2,000% move to the upside. So you could still make good gains here. Now, the important thing for us is to break above the golden ratio here, because we really want to be breaking above that as soon as we can, because the quicker we do that and the quicker we backtest it as support, the quicker we get to the all-time high, because this is a major resistance level. This is the most important resistance level of the fib retracement. So the sooner we break above that, the sooner we're going to be retracing to the all-time high, because 90% of the time, once you break above the golden ratio, you see a move all the way back up to the previous high on the fib retracement, or a full retracement, so to speak. So you don't want to see a dead cat bounce here where you get rejected from the golden ratio and you come back down. You don't want to see that, because that would essentially be a continuation of the trend. So that's pretty much it. If I missed out anything important on the charts, please let me know down below in the comment section. Feel free to follow me on Twitter and Patreon. Have your buy limit order set up in advance, guys, and hopefully everything plays out for each and every single one of you. Take care and goodbye.